Hello, my name is Adam, and I am on a mission to become the most prolific reviewer of all time, which means I want to review the most things of all time. And mostly I've been focusing on movies and television series, and sometimes books, but I'd like to expand my repertoire into games because I'm not like a pro gamer or anything, but I do game a lot. And today I'm going to talk about my maybe maybe favorite game of all time, or maybe the game that I've spent the most time playing of all time, which is Civilization 3. So Civilization 3 is the third installment of the Civilization franchise. It came out in 2001, and it's the first version of the game which was not designed by Sid Meier, although it does say Sid Meier's Civilization because he created the franchise. But it was designed by Jeff Briggs and Soren Johnson. And when it came out, I thought that it was like a huge hit, but I think it was a game that people kind of picked up over time, and it sold like something like 12 million, uh, not copies, but it made 12 million its first year of release. So very successful game. And what is so attractive about the game? I think the problem the the thing with the game is that it's really quite addictive. You have the basic premise of the game is that you start in a civilization and you can pick any civilization, maybe not any. There's like maybe 24 civilizations you can pick from, really famous ones like Russia or England or the United States, or not so famous ones like Maya or Aztec, although they're probably famous too. And you start to build your civilization, and you found cities, and you explore, and you use your workers to create roads and kind of exploit the resources around you. And you can create, each civilization has a unique unit, like the Japanese have the samurai, and the British have the man of war, and I think the French have something like some musketeer or something like that. Um, and so how it works is you build up the population of your city, and when you build up the population of different cities, you can produce more units, and then you can take the game in whatever direction you want. You can have a scientific victory, you can have a cultural victory, you can have a military victory, like a conquest victory. So, and that's interesting too, is because there's different types of conquest victory. There's conquest where you conquer everything, and then there's domination where you control 80% of the world. So if you control 80% of the world, you probably are, no one's going to touch you anymore. So there's two things connected to that. And then there's a diplomatic victory where you can create the UN and then be a kind of voted president for life, although they don't call it that, but you can be voted the leader of the world. There's also a space race victory where you can build not just a rocket, but a rocket that's going to colonize other planets. And I'm not sure if Alpha Centauri came out after this game or before the game, but yeah, it was designed. So when you play Alpha Centauri, which is also an interesting game, it's basically civilization in space. But when you play it, the rocket lands, and that's the beginning point of Alpha Centauri. So how it's different from the older versions and the newer versions. To be honest, I've played every version of Civilization except for 5 and 7. So I played Civilization 1, Civilization 2, 3, 4, 6, and that's all. That's all that we've gotten to in the franchise. And so I can only talk about the differences between what came before and what came after. Um, in my opinion, of those civilizations that I've played, I think that this one is the best because it really takes up your time. It's time consuming in a good way, and the the learning, I don't know what you call that, but you don't need a degree in the game to understand it. Like unlike some other strategy games like Europa Universalis. I'm looking at you. You're very difficult. um, so what you can do then is you can play the game basically however you want. You can, develop your civilization for thousands of years, then develop nuclear weapons and blow up everybody. So it's a good game in that sense. And the feature of your borders are defined by your culture, which is not exactly, historically accurate, but it does give you the ability to flip cities of other cultures if your culture is stronger. So it kind of gives you a motivation to work on your culture rather than just your military. And I think in Civilization 4, probably they do add something connected to this cultural mechanic, which is religion, which works the same way. So you can affect people by your religion. So your influence it's more natural, but it gets the game a bit more complicated. And by Civilization 5, they had like completely gotten rid of the kind of core idea of civilization. But I can talk about that in my review of Civ 6. But I think that people do like Civilization 5, and they people either say Civilization 5 is the best game in the franchise or this one is the best game in the franchise. And personally, I think that this is the best one. And I think later on, the so I think at the time the design of the leaders was very cartoony because of graphic limitations. And I think that they went with that, and it seems like it's a game for children, unfortunately, in later editions. They're just cartoons. The leaders, they look ridiculous. So I think what would be perfect is sort of an updated Civilization 3 for adults with like better graphics and um, more adult like leaders who look like they would actually look like in real life. So I really do like it, and I've been comparing it with other versions. And of course, it's better than the first ones because the first ones they really look like they're from the early '90s or the '80s or whenever they're from. Like the horses are just like these three little bits, and the graphics they do look like they're from 2001, but the voice acting is really really great. Like aha, the cavalry does is great. It's great. Um, so I've been pretty positive about the game, and I would give it a 7 out of 10. Why 7 out of 10? You say if it's so great. The problem with it is I have probably played, I don't know, hundreds, maybe even 1,000 hours of the game. So it definitely, you can replay and replay and replay it, but nothing different happens in the game. It's very repetitive. So you can have like conquest victory or domination victory. You can put like the difficulty levels up and you can try that, but fundamentally what you're doing doesn't differ anything. It doesn't have the chaos of real life, I guess. Like something like your Europa Universalis would. So with Europa Universalis, at least the fourth one, I haven't played any other versions, you really have this feeling that you're kind of role playing characters. And you don't have a feeling that you're role playing different characters. You're just being this kind of godlike person who can control an entire civilization throughout its history. And another thing is like the later stages are really quite limited. because obviously it's hard to predict what's going to happen in the future, but you only have, I think the game ends in 2060, which is a bit ridiculous, you know? But yeah, I don't know. I like it, but I can see that it could be better. And I think that's why there have been seven or, six other, well, so this is Civilization 3. There have been four other installments after this because they're trying to improve on it. But I think they went in a bad direction. And I think another thing that always kind of bothered me about this game is that there are battles, but basically it's all numbers. So if you have stronger units, if you have, I don't know, 20 units which are, again, versus like 15 units, 99% of, and they're the same kind of units, 99% of the time you're going to win. There's not really any much strategy in it. So it would be great if you, and probably there's a game like this, if you had like kind of the basics of civilization where you're like creating a civilization, you're managing your resources, building cities, doing infrastructure and all of that. But when you actually have the battles actually have strategy like in Total War. I think that would be cool. All right, yeah, what did you think about Civilization 3? If you have some comments, put them down below in the comment section. If you like this review, please subscribe. I'm trying to get 150 subscribers by the end of January. We're at 108, so that's very, very good. And if you want to support me and my quest to become the most prolific reviewer of all time, check out the Patreon. The link is in the description.